This is Rennie Knopf with ChampionshipBBQ.tv, and you're listening to the Barbecue Central Show.
So to get that perfect barbecue, you use wood. Are you sure it's safe? Whatever. We put the lighter fluid on, strike the match, and... Oh! Should we call the fire department? That might be a good idea.
Welcome to the Barbecue Central Show, the show where we talk about all things that are important in the world of barbecue. From big-name interviews with competitors on the barbecue circuit, grill manufacturers and pit makers, to advice on cooking brisket and ribs. You'll find it all right here on the Barbecue Central Show. Your host, Greg Rempe, is a backyard barbecue and grilling fanatic and loves to talk about his passion, which many of us share together. You can learn more about barbecue and grilling by visiting the website, thebbqcentral.com. Now, let's get in the smoke. Here's your program host, Greg Rempe.
Hey, gang, welcome to another edition of the Really Big Barbecue Central Show. A little bit behind, apologize. Racing in from the day job / night job. Had to close. Remember the last time I've had to close on a Tuesday, but tonight was the night. Apologies. Got a lot to get to in the opening segment. If you want to jump in on the show tonight, 877-448-0433. Greg at thebbqcentralshow.com. I am your humble host, Greg Rempe. Happy to have you aboard here. We broadcast live and direct from the Rock and Roll Hall of Fame city of Cleveland, Ohio, rapidly becoming known as the barbecue capital of the North Coast. All right, let me get my items together here. Racing at last minute. 14 past the hour, Ed Hamlin coming up from Grill Innovations. He's the maker of the grill plate, the creator of the grill plate, so we're going to be talking to him about that product and some other things that he's got going on in the barbecue and grilling industry. 35 past the hour, Malcolm Reed from Killer Hogs is going to be joining us, and we're going to be talking to Malcolm about some tips that he has for buying your first smoker. Some of us are in an area of a country where we might be able to take advantage of cooking any time, any year around, and you might be getting into that first purchase of a cooker. You're going to finally step up and get into this culinary delight that we all pine for and do everything that we do when we do it for barbecue, and Malcolm will help us give us some tips on how to buy that first smoker. Second hour, we did have Scott Nelson lined up. No.
Get that big stuff out of here.
It's not going to be Scott Nelson. It is, however, filling in very kindly Dave Bosca from Butcher Barbecue. And 35 past the hour of 10 o'clock, we have venerable food blogger, Patio Daddio, BBQ.com, John Doss. Big show planned. Quickly, let me go to the hotline for email. Jeff Stiff checking in. Greg, Operation Barbecue Relief going to set up something in Jefferson County, Alabama. Could you get a mention or squeeze in for a 5 minutes up front? Can't do the squeeze in because I just got in 5 minutes myself. But if you are looking to donate to Operation Barbecue Relief, you can do two things. 816-590-5057. 816-590-5057, or go ahead and visit the website, operationbbqrelief.org. That's operationbbqrelief.org. Go ahead, somebody link that up for me if you want to go ahead and donate to their cause. They're setting up. This is exactly what they do when things are going south in regards to Mother Nature and natural disasters. Operation Barbecue Relief sets up to help feed those victims and the people that have been displaced. So, Jeff, I apologize for just getting this late, but I'm late in myself. But check them out, operationbbqrelief.org. They do great work. They did all that stuff down there in Joplin, Missouri last year, and it looks like the folks in Alabama might be coming into something. So, Jeff, good on you, brother. All right, they do have a barbecue sauce review. And let me make sure that I'm doing this correctly. This sent to me by Cody Evans. This is called Bodacious Barbecue Sauce. This is out of Texas. More specifically, White Oak, Texas, or perhaps that's just where they send it from. This is a barbecue sauce. You can take the bodacious flavor and our distinctively unique barbecue sauce home with you. I did peruse the ingredients list, and I didn't see anything that really scared me too much, which is good. We all know that there's that one little item that I am not a fan of. So, again, we are trying the Bodacious barbecue sauce. I believe if you go to, like, bodaciousbbq.com, you would be able to find, or just Google Bodacious barbecue. I believe that comes right up. All right, so we're taking the cap off here. Set that off to the side. Sniffy sniff. Okay, so it's not liquid smoke that I'm smelling, so everybody just back off because I made that weird face. Okay. And we'll do a little color test for you. So it's kind of almost mustardy and yellow. Great viscosity on this. These are the kind of sauces that I like. Not overly thick coming out. Move this off to the side a little bit. And looking, it's almost kind of a red a little bit, I suppose, to a certain degree. Here's your viscosity check. You can see some specks in there of flavor. Coats a spoon nice. There it is. Go ahead and try that again for you. This is it falling off at regular speed. Can't wait to try it. I can't tell if that is vinegar or what. There's a very distinct, maybe it's just like the ketchup-y vinegary thing happening. Not sure. All right, let me double check here. Here we go. Big taste test. Drum roll. Wow. That is very unique. I mean, I like it just because there's no liquid smoke in it now. I got to be honest. There is a little bit of a bite. There's a flavor in here that I cannot place, unfortunately. Is it mustard or just ketchup? I don't know. I think, honestly, this is a very good sauce. If you can find it, I would definitely give it a try. Definitely on beef for sure. I mean, Texas is traditionally known as more of a beef place anyway. Would go good on sausage as well. There's a good spice mix in here. Probably the bottle of rub that they sent me also is probably in the Bodacious barbecue sauce. There's a nice little, very mild heat component at the end, which I like. Definitely some black pepper in there. And then, you know, your traditional barbecue sauces or your traditional barbecue spices that are in. But again, I like it because it's not overly thick. And it has got a very unique flavor. This is definitely going to be a beef first, possibly pulled pork. Definitely beef ribs for sure. And I love beef ribs, man. Beef ribs, some of my all-time favorite barbecue. I'm trying to look to see if I can find a place to send you to check it out on the interwebs. And I can't. So go ahead and Google it up. Bodacious BBQ if you want to try a sauce that I'm not super blown away by it. But it is definitely one that if you can come across it, if you're looking for something a little bit unique, BODACIOUS, Bodacious Barbecue Sauce. I did Google it myself earlier, and I did find it pretty much right away. So check it out if you're looking for something that's a little bit unique. Who am I to sit here and tell you that it wouldn't be good or it would be good? I think I'm very excited to try it, especially on the blank canvas that is chicken as well. So there you go, Bodacious Barbecue. Thanks to Cody for turning me on to this. Go ahead, try it. What do you think? A little different. Yeah, there's definitely secret taste tester in the house as well. And she can't put her finger on that flavor either. So go ahead and try it out. Cody, appreciate you getting that hookup for me. Very excited to try that rub as well. But definitely give it a try. Unique, kind of an outside-the-box sauce here. It's tangy, definitely tangy, and it's got that little back-end heat, which I absolutely love as well. So check it out. All right, here we go. I apologize. Beards for barbecue update. Guess what? No more beard. Maybe you didn't notice that. Yeah, there's no more beard. And what can I tell you? Some things are more important than others. We'll leave it at that. However, that doesn't change the fact that I did get my 15 miles in. Thank you. And where are you people at? Where are your Beard for Barbecue updates? Anybody hitting the treadmill? Anybody doing P90X? Anything like that? What are you up to? I'm encouraged. I want to know. So please fill me in. And remember, we're in this together. So as long as I keep doing this is as long as you're going to hear about it. Come on, look at Patrick, down 7 pounds. Patrick, look at you. It's almost a half a pound a day. It's actually less than that. Step it up, Patrick. Come on. Neil riding a bike today. Look at you. Neil, got to work on that heat suit. All right, friends, let me tell you about Draper's As good as Bodacious barbecue sauce was, and I appreciate that, I got to tell you about my good friend Shane Draper. He is a third-generation barbecue company owner, located in Kentucky in between Memphis and Kansas City. Shane Draper wanted to create a line of products that represents both cities as well as flavor profiles of his home. Draper Smokin' Sauce is a savory with a touch of sweetness, tangy with some heat, and its balanced yet complex blend of spices is just at home on the competition trail as it is grilling in your backyard. Now, Smokin' Sauce brought home many, many trophies in 2011. They're gearing up for a great year this year in 2012. And you can find them on the front lines against the overly sweet flavor profiles. The battle lines have been drawn, folks, and Draper's is on the forefront. Now, Draper's Barbecue also has a fantastically versatile rub, known simply as AP Rub. The AP is short for all purpose. It is a great flavor enhancer on any protein, but it can also be used on popcorn, French fries, salads, onion rings, soups, chowders, Chex Mix, baked potatoes, of course, dredges for those fish fries and chicken fries. Your imagination, basically, its only limitation. AP's rub balance of savory, salty, sweet, and heat make it great on virtually anything. Smokin' Sauce and AP Rub are great products when they're standing alone, but really shine when used together. The dovetail of the two flavor profiles make a completely different and even more complex flavor profile that will keep the judges thinking about your entry long after they have put it down. And it'll make it come back for second and third bites now, so don't even think about it. If you're a backyard guy, don't worry about it. This will keep your friends and neighbors coming back wondering, how can I make barbecue just like Shane? Or how can I make barbecue just like Rempy? Well, you use the Draper's products together, and they will be twisting and turning all night long. You can find Draper's products in 3 different areas on the internet. DrapersBBQ.com, BBQaddicts.com, or bbqproshop.com, all trusted Draper's resources. You can also find Draper's Barbecue on Facebook and Twitter. Shane, always available for questions and to help competitions with flavor profiles. You have a local store you want Draper's Barbecue products in, send Shane an email, info@drapersbbq.com. Always adding new stores in new markets. You could You could earn free stuff from Shane himself, just for the tidbit of information. Draper's Barbecue, when they say 3 generations of pride in a bottle, they mean it. It's drapersbbq.com. Coming back with Ed Hamlin of Grill Innovation. Stand by.
Broadcasting live from the Barbecue Central Radio Network studios in Cleveland, Ohio. You're listening to the Barbecue Central Radio Show. Once again, here's your host, Greg Rempe.
Welcome back, 877-448-0433. Greg at thebbqcentralshow.com are the ways to get in touch with the show. Don't forget Malcolm Reed coming up at 35 past the hour, Dave Bosca second hour, and John Dawson as well. But let's go ahead. Joining me now, the creator of a unique product for your gas grills. He's been on the show once before. He also has done a number of giveaways as well. Creator of the grill plate, Ed Hamlin, joining us on the show. Ed, how are you, bud?
I'm doing great, Greg. How you doing?
Doing absolutely fantastic, Ed. Appreciate you making time for the show tonight. Before we get into the product itself, perhaps a little background about yourself for the folks that don't know you, and then we can kind of get into where the grill plate came into fruition, all that good stuff.
Yeah, I've got another company. We've got a couple of patents, so I'm kind of a little inventor and, try to keep things going, but I have a love of cooking and naturally a love of grilling because it's we all have that competitive nature, I guess. And one day we were doing some cooking, and I was running out of time, and I said, well, I've got this hamburger meat, and I got some onions, and I can't sit out there and flip burgers, so I'm going to go ahead and make up a meatloaf. And I thought it was an ingenious idea at the time. And then I put it on the grill, put it on low, and I turned it into a big piece of charcoal. And then I started thinking, oh, that was brilliant. What are you thinking? 5-pound hamburger you can't flip. That's what a meatloaf is. So the guys were ribbing me pretty hard about it, and I decided to come up with a way around it. So that's how we came up with a grill plate. And it's got a unique design because it doesn't let the heat rise. It actually forces it sideways and creates a convection effect without a fan. So we started getting into a couple different things, and due to your show and being able to be on it and get a bunch of emails for some people who came up with some really ingenious challenges for us. We did the 3 challenges where we gave away some grill plates, and they went on after that. We got even some more challenges, which we were in debt to your show actually over that, because we found out some things were really, really interesting about the grill plate that we haven't brought up yet.
Ed, let me interrupt here just for a second.
Yes.
For the people that maybe haven't seen it, if you could kind of give us that mental picture of what the unit is, what it's made out of, and what the purpose of it is.
Yeah, sure. It's if you could imagine a plate that is 16 inches by 12, and that's the size of a large turkey pan, and it's made out of a quarter-inch aluminum, basically, and it's 1 inch high, and what happens is the bottom has got a shape of a V in it, and the top is flat, and what that does is that gives you an air gap, but being 12 inches and having basically like a side to stand on, as it sits flat, as the heat rises, it actually gets forced sideways. And with most gas, or actually all gas grills, people say that they're convection, and they're really not convection. They're just radiant heat. And that's why on a lot of gas grills, by the way the propane comes in, you'll have hot and cold spots by where the propane comes in. The advantage of the grill plate is it basically grabs that, stops it from coming up, and since it goes sideways, it blends the heat really well. We've actually come up with a couple, a newer design where we actually went to a thinner piece on the top and dimpled it for continuous baking, and our newest surprise that I'll tell you in a couple of minutes.
All right, so as you're using this, obviously, is this specific for gas grills, or something that you could use on a charcoal grill as well?
Yeah, you can use it on a charcoal grill. You can use anything that you can control the heat on. And like a lot of things, like when we're doing lasagna, we're doing lasagna for an hour. Hour and a half. The au gratin potato is a little tougher because it's a higher temperature on a charcoal grill. But once the coals are hot, you don't have that that much of a smoke flavor unless you really want the smoke flavor in the cheese. But for easier things, meatloafs, something that's a half hour, 45 minutes, you'd have no problem. If you're going to do a turkey on a charcoal grill, you got to really stay on top of it to keep the temperature. That's why it's a little bit easier with the gas grill, but it works on any of them. We've got a round one that's actually we're going to be showing at the HPBA show this year. A lot of people don't know that you have one of our first experimental little round grills or grill plates. And that was another interesting story how that one came about. But what we did now is we actually put dimples in the top of it, and what that does is allow you to get extended baking. We started doing all these competitions and challenges and stuff. And it got really interesting with the challenges because we go up there and say, okay, well, you're going to make, cookies. Well, now you got to make biscuits. Well, on the older versions of the plate, what would happen is the top of the plate would start to get a little hot. So we'd, have to let it cool down so we wouldn't burn the bottom of something. But if you were doing something, like I say, au gratin potatoes, or you're doing chicken or turkey or whatever, once it was on, it didn't bother it. But we wanted to be able to put something on and then just say, okay, I'm going to do a pie, I'm going to do biscuits, I'm going to do bread, I'm going to do whatever. And then again, thanks to your show, we had actually a run of where we never lost a competition. And then a friend of mine, Jay, had come up, and he does this really good Cuban pork. So anybody out there that knows how to make a really good Cuban pork, send me the recipe. And that'll be to grillinnovations@AOL.com. Well, unbeknownst to me, when you're doing a Cuban pork, it's got, because my buddy would say, well, it's got some spices here and there, and it's got some garlic and some saffron. And you go ahead and bake it, and
Ed?
Get that big stuff out of here.
It's got to be that wireless internet connection, I swear. Did he just drop off altogether? There he is. All right. Give me a second to get him back up here. Oh, God. Sound effects are the worst, I swear. Good Lord. It's got to be is that the most annoying ringer ever? Jeez, oh, Pete. Hold on a second. See if we can't get him up. Oh, jeepers. If I'm not completely incorrect in remembering what I remember, because sometimes I will misremember, there are, I think when we had him on the last time, we ran into issues with bandwidth. I think what happens is you get on the wireless. This is maybe you recall, folks. People ask, how come I'm not out there doing a wireless broadcast from a bunch of different locations? This is exactly why. I'm going to guess that he is on a wireless connection, and wireless is never 100% reliable. When I'm plugged in to the back of my computer, I know for a fact that I am ready to go, that I am plugged in, and it's going to be solid connection all the way through. We'll give Ed another call here and see if we can't raise him up. I like the product myself. It's nice, especially at least for us in the warmer months. I'm not a huge fan of firing up the oven and having it overheat the house. So the product itself is absolutely fantastic, and especially in the warmer months. So, all right, looks like we got Ed back. Ed, you back with us?
Yeah, I don't know what happened there.
Okay, yeah, that's all right. Probably, when the video takes up a lot of bandwidth, and are you on a wireless internet connection?
Yeah, actually, I'm on 2 of them right now.
There you go. All right, so
I want to make sure that we.
What's that?
I said I want to make sure we didn't have any problem, and then
there we go.
We have that little, yeah.
No problem. All right.
Technology.
So you were saying you were getting a Cuban pork challenge, as it were.
Yeah, and it wasn't actually a challenge. It was my buddy Jay coming over, and he'd watched us do all kinds of things on the grill plate. And then he says, well, what about this or that? So it's like, Jay, we're just going to whip out everything. It's not going to be a problem. Well, he comes in and brings over his famed Cuban pork, and it's really, really good. And he still won't give me the recipe for it.
Who is this guy, for crying out loud? He needs to share. That's what it's all about.
Yeah, I know, man. I got to abuse him a little bit or something. But, he just wouldn't give it up. So that's why I have to get your guys to come up with one for me so I can take it over to him and embarrass him.
There you go.
But if you've never made a Cuban pork before, and I never did, he brings it over, and I said, well, what temperature? He goes, 350. So I set it at 350, pop the plate down. We sit out back for about 3.5, 4 hours, and I lift it up. And we actually have these pictures on the website. And I said, okay, what do you think? He goes, oh, yeah, it's done. I said, okay, great. And I said, I'll pull it and let it rest. He goes, no. Flip it over and broil it.
Mm-mm.
Excuse me?
Yeah.
He says, flip it over and broil it. You got to get the skin crispy. You got to have crackling.
Right.
And I'm looking at him like, how are you expecting me to broil on this grill? And Greg, I swear he looks at me like the cat that ate the canary and just smiled from ear to ear. And I said, you son of a... I said, this was all just a plan just to beat the grill plate. So, yep. So I started thinking about it. And when I first came up with the grill plate, I had torture tested it because you got one of the first ones. And I said, I put 800 degrees to it and it wouldn't flinch. So I thought about it for a second, thought how it was designed. And I said, well, let's see what happens. So I cranked all my burners up, closed the lid back down. He goes, what are you doing? I go, I'm going to see if it broils. And he just went, what? And it broils slower than an oven, but that makes it nice. So now we've got the ability not only to be able to bake without indirect, so we don't have to sit there and lift the grill and move the thing around or whatever.
Right.
It's basically you set it, drop it in just like your oven, and you sit back and have a beer or 5 with your friends. And then when you want to broil, just crank it all the way to the sky and just keep an eye on it. So we started making like a broiled cheese bread, a little recipe I stole from the Bubble Room, where it's actually mayonnaise and Parmesan cheese, and you can do it on bread and then kind of ice it like a cake, and then you broil it, and the oil comes out of the cheese and makes a nice bubbly topping for it. The first person that got introduced to it was JM from Celebrity Grill, and we had done.
Ed. Evidently, we need 3 internet connections.
Get that big stuff out of here.
Oh, my Lord. Somebody's got to step it up. Somebody needs AT&T in Florida. I wanted to have him on because he's going down to HPB, which I believe is in Atlanta. So I don't know if any of you are out there in the Atlanta area, but he's going to be out there at the HPB Expo. So we definitely want to encourage you to go out and see him if you're going to be out in that area. Does anybody have any plans to go out to HPB Expo? I don't. I know why, because they don't have hardwired internet. That's right. Beat it, bitches. All right. Here we go. We'll try it again. Ed.
I was going to say, it can't be me. I got 2 signals. I'm running 2 wireless lines.
All my stuff is hardwired in. I learned my lesson the hard way. So somewhere in the middle, we're not hooking up. Nevertheless.
And it's the Florida weather.
Continue.
So we basically take the salmon and cut the skin off of it and cut the oil line off of it. And I just got it, baking in the grill. And Jonathan's looking over there and kind of snickering because he's got this really good sauce he's doing. And then I pull out the mayonnaise and the Parmesan cheese, but I add jumbo lump crab meat on top of it.
Oh, my.
And then after it gets done, I layer it out and then broil it up, and it's just phenomenal. And then after that came along, we started getting some really interesting challenges. Some that were really interesting. I had one guy, his name was Bob Lee, and I was talking to him, and he says, well, can that thing do a hamburger 1.5 inches thick, cook on that plate, cook it through and through without flipping it? I said, yeah, I cook a meatloaf. And he goes, but can you do the burger? I said, I guess. So we actually did a burger. It was 1.5 inches thick. It was an average size burger. Well, I'm 6'1" and 270, so the average size burger for me is kind of big.
Sure.
So it's 1.5 inches thick. Well, it actually grew to 1 3/4 inches, and we've got the pictures and stuff that we're going to put on the web. But it cooked in 16 minutes.
Wow. And you had it your grill fully on then at that point? Uh-oh. Uh-oh.
Get that big stuff out of here.
I'm trying to figure out. Is it me? It can't ever be me. Well, we're going to know come next segment. We're going to know. All right. Anyway, Ed is going to be at the HPBA, which is Home Hearth Patio Barbecue Association. It's probably not actually any of that, to be honest. I don't know. But he's going to be out there in March. He's going to have his grill plates. I wanted to see. Okay, hold on one second. Here we go. Ed.
Yeah.
All right, here we go.
Okay.
All right. So let's let me move away from the challenges here just for a second because we're kind of rapidly running out of time here with the technical issues. But you had mentioned that in March you were going to be at the HPBA Expo. Are you going to be at a booth by yourself? Are you going to be teamed up with somebody? Give us a lowdown there.
We're going to have Minton Grills is giving us some grills, and we're going to be displaying and featuring those grills. And we're going to be doing all the other things that we were talking about. We're actually do creme brulee on the grill without using the torch. We're going to do the burgers. We're going to do pizza, actual pizzas, show people how to make those. So if anybody's there, come on by and say hi. And we're going to do grilled pork tenderloin with Swiss lime hollandaise. We're going to do some scallops and a wine reduction. So we're going to have a whole bunch of things. We're bouncing around trying to get going, and just love to have people come by and say hi. I know we're going to see Ray Lampy there, and I got to give a shout out to a Grill Girl, Robin, and JM again for always helping me out and keeping things going. And if anybody else can give us a challenge that they'd like to see, fire it up, and let's see if we can come up with something even tougher for the grill plate, and then I can learn some more about it.
The website, by the way, grillinnovations.com. So for the people that are wondering, maybe they've been to the website, give us price points, and are there any other items that you're thinking about creating and introducing to the world here, Ed?
I actually have a third patent on a different product that I'm going to be talking to Minden Grills about and see if they want to go in with it on me. Mm-hmm. It's not anything that I can bring up right up, but we're trying to get the price points down on the round grill plate. But if anybody contacts us from your show and they want a grill plate, our normal price is $69.95, which is shipping to them anywhere. Mm-hmm. But we'll take another $20 off if they mention you.
All right, mention me.
So they get it for $49.95 plus the shipping anywhere, and it's usually about $20. So we're trying to get it down, and just you're great, and we love being on your show, and anything that we can do to have have your listeners talk to us or buy something from us and talk about it, and then get back to you again. That'd be great.
Yeah, absolutely. So, gang, if you are paying close attention, Ed likes challenges, especially if you've been to the website and seen some of his past challenges. Dream up your wildest, wickedest, most unbelievable creation that you think couldn't be made on a grill, and he'll be more than happy to put that to its pace and see if the grill plate will come out on top. And like you said, 95% of the time you are in a winning stance, except for your buddy who's, maybe we should be looking at different friends there, but
yeah, well, he still lost because we still did we broiled it.
Oh, really?
Yeah, we broiled that Cuban pork.
Absolutely,
so,
awesome.
And it's actually on the website. But that was the only one we almost ever did lose. And like I said, we did that creme brulee where we did a creme brulee on the grill and then did the sugar on top and then broiled the sugar without a torch. Just used the grill to do it. So.
Yeah,
it came out pretty cool.
It's going to be it's a very unique product, and you want to go ahead and check it out. Again, the website is grillinnovations.com, and we are talking with the creator, Ed Hamlin. Ed, always appreciate the time. We'll talk to you soon, buddy.
Thanks, Greg. Appreciate it. Have a good show.
All right, take care. There he is. Ed Hamlin joining us. Ugh, wow. Hate technical issues. Beat it, technical issues.
Get that big stuff out of here.
Let's see. I can throw that one out. I hate to say it, but I kept going back to the sauce because I'm very intrigued. Maybe it's just the vinegar. Man, oh man. There's something about that. There is something about that I absolutely like. I wish I could have had more of a refined palate like you guys do, but I don't. But I'm probably going to be eating that sauce quite a bit for the rest of the evening. All right, gang, let me tell you about longtime sponsor of the show, Fred Bonato of Fred's Music and Tasty Licks BBQ, the website tastylicksbbq.com. Okay, you've been hearing me talk about the two-day competition barbecue cooking school, March 10th and 11th. Todd Johns from Pork Pullin' Plowboys is going to be out there and taking part in one of the most successful and winningest team captains on the competition barbecue circuit, one of the most sought-after instructors in the world. Teams that have taken his class have won the American Royal and the Jack Daniels Invitational Championship. It's sold out. However, Fred has told me that they are taking standby orders. Yeah! So go to tastylicksbbq.com. You can register for a standby reservation. That's right, it's a standby reservation. Fred had told me if they get enough standbys, they might be able to offer a second class as well. So if you've always wanted to take a competition cooking class, if you weren't able to get into Dave Bosca's class, you want to take something that is a no-holds-barred, completely open, help you get your barbecue better, then this is one that you might want to consider getting on the waiting list for, because now it is all gone, all over, filled up for now. That's why you got to jump on these things when I tell you. TastyLicksBBQ.com. If you're going to be out in the world of Shillington, Pennsylvania this Saturday, you're going to want to stop by his store, Game Day Grill Master Demonstrations. That's right. Learn how to make some great game day treats, and Fred Bernardo will show you how, along with his guest of famous cookers. He's going to do the Tasty Lickin' chicken wings, the sweet and savory country ribs. You'll learn how to make some of the best country ribs you've ever had, quick and easy, wonderfully delicious when grilled to perfection. The cheesy buffalo chicken dip. Oh, are you kidding me? That's going to be this Saturday, 11 a.m. at the Shillington, Pennsylvania barbecue store. Check them out. Also, there's a new product that Fred is carrying, Ono charcoal, made from 100%, is it Kauai wood? Hawaiian tradition of the famous luau and the famous barbecue families rich in history. Fred has it in his store, TastyLicksBBQ.com. Don't forget, 11 a.m. this Saturday, the Game Day Grill Master demonstration. We're coming back with Malcolm Reed of Killer Hogs. Stick around.
Get in the smoke. Call 877-448-0433 to get on the air. Now, here's your host, Greg Rempe.
Big B, Moonshine Band, Suburban Noise Records. Let's go!
I'm an outlaw. Give me 2 shots. We don't need a radio. Bring a jukebox for my outlaws. Bring me 3 shots. We can raise hell before the speed stops. I'm a whiskey drinking SOB. If you don't like that, then you won't like me. I'm an outlaw. I said I'm an outlaw.
37 past the hour. We are back and just waiting to get with Malcolm Reed here, and just hopefully things are calming down. I can't tell exactly where the technical difficulty was, so we'll try it. Here we go to Malcolm Reed from How to Barbecue Right. Malcolm, how are you, buddy?
Hey, Greg, I'm doing great, man. How's it going?
Good, absolutely fabulous. Malcolm, always appreciate you taking time for the show. Again, Malcolm's website, well, he has 2, killerhogs.com, which is the competition team, and then howtobbqright.com, which is a great newsletter that Malcolm is writing pretty much on a very consistent basis. You've heard him on the show a number of times here last year. So first time in 2012. Couldn't be a better subject, Malcolm, because you have people that maybe got some extra Christmas money, or this is the year that they decide that they're going to take the bull by the horns and get into or separate barbecue and grilling and get a barbecue pit. So with that said, you got to know how to buy it right the first time. So that's why I wanted to have you on. You wrote a great newsletter about what you need to know before buying a smoker. So go ahead and kind of give us an introduction as to some of the things that you think one has to take into account, and we'll dig into further from there.
Yeah, well, kind of when I got the idea to write this newsletter, I get a lot of emails about, what to buy, what kind of pits to look for. A lot of people want to upgrade, or it might even be first time people getting into the barbecue. And I always, I try to be honest with them, shoot them straight, just of what I've found out over the years of my downfalls, ups and downs, and buying equipment and all that. You can get a lot of money tied up in it before you know it.
Oh yeah.
So what my idea was that I was just going to write a little bit about what to look for, and kind of you need to go in with a little game plan instead of just going out and buying the first thing you see.
All right, so the first thing that you were leading off with was, what is the smoker going to be used for? Now, some people are going, well, duh, of course you're going to be smoking with it, but obviously it's a little bit more intricate than that.
Oh, yeah. You have to ask yourself, are you buying something that you're going to just be cooking in the backyard for friends or family, or are you thinking about that, you might get into a competition or, try your hand catering a little bit? There's all kinds of, things to think about, and that's what's important because that's where you get into your money. If you're just looking for something for the backyard, you might, you'd look at building the EDS or, just going out and getting a green egg or something, that really works on a small scale. But where you get into your more professional style cookers, that's where you really start talking big bucks.
So if you're somebody like me and I am more backyard than anything, and then and I have aspirations of catering, but I can't necessarily sit here and say that it's something that I would actually pursue. How do you do that flex of, do I buy up? Do I buy just what I need?
Well, usually, when in that case, I would say a good one for someone to have would be the Weber Smoky Mountains. I mean, those are great cookers. If you can't really do a whole lot of catering on them, I mean, you can get a couple different models of those and have them running. But what I'm talking about is kind of a smaller scale. It's probably the way you cook at home right now, and that's just a good cooker to get in for the money at that price.
Do you find that? I'm sorry, Malcolm. Do you find that no matter how big of a cooker you get, once you get into it, nothing you have is ever going to be big enough?
That's the case most of the time. Most people get bit by the bug pretty bad. So when you buy something, you're always going to want something bigger, and that's the way I was when I first got in it too.
All right, so when you're talking about some of the smaller styles, the Weber Smoky Mountains, some of the ceramic grills, smaller, not necessarily in price tag, although some aren't as expensive as others. What do you?
Yeah.
I mean, what size would people want to be looking for a backyard? What kind of a food accommodation should a cooker make?
Well, what I recommend is just something in the 22.5-inch range. The smaller ones, the 18 inches, they're really a little too small. I mean, you can play around on them, but it's hard to get a full rack of ribs on them. Or if you'll try to cook 2 butts on them, you'll be fighting yourself. You really need that extra size to start out. And you see a lot of models like these Brinkmann that's got the side firebox and things like that at Home Depot or Lowe's or somewhere else. And I kind of shy away from those because most of the ones that you find in the big box store aren't built with a lot of quality in mind. They're just meant to sell smokers. And you end up fighting the smoker the whole time. So if you do go ahead and go out and spend a little money on a ceramic one or a Weber Smoky Mountain, you've got a little bit more quality. And it really, in the end, it makes a better product because you're not fighting the cooker as much. You can concentrate on your flavors, and on the wood you're burning and different things like that.
Malcolm Reed joining us here on the show. HowToBBQRight.com is the website. You can go ahead and check out this newsletter that he just sent out about buying your smokers if you want to recap. One of the biggest items that people contend with right up front, and I could probably make an argument that it might actually be one of the last things that you want to consider, and a lot of people will laugh when I say this, but it's price. A lot of people want to jump right up front with that. I mean, obviously you have a budget you want to work within, but that doesn't necessarily mean you're going to be getting the things that might be best fitting your needs. Do you find to be the same way?
Yeah, I mean, that's the number one issue when it comes down to it. I mean, of course, everybody would like to say, well, I want to buy a smoker that I can feed anybody I want, but price is the ultimate factor. And so you got to really weigh that in there. Now, if you're going to buy something that's going to last, I mean, you can kind of spread that cost out over a little while, but up front, it's, you're looking at sinking a good little chunk of money into something. I mean, especially for a competition style smoker. I mean, a lot of them start at $1,000, Now, there are some models out there that you can get a little bit cheaper. I'll tell you one that I'm really liking now is the Meadow Creek. They have some real good smokers they're coming on with, and if you hadn't checked them out, you might check their website out. Because they have some actually hog cookers that are real reasonable. And, trailer-style cookers and they're smaller backyard units. But I don't get paid anything from them either. That's just the smoker I've been looking at here recently because I was trying to come up with a reasonable way to help someone out, that was kind of on a budget.
Do you have how many cookers do you have that you're using right now, Malcolm?
Oh man, let's see. I've got a hog cooker, and I've got Old Hickory CTO, and I've got a Backwoods Party, and I've got 3 or 4 UDSs, and I've got old Brinkmann side by side out here that I've had for years. So I kind of got a parts pile and I got a working pile. You know what I mean?
Yeah, absolutely. So here's, I guess, the next lead-in question, Malcolm. You're going to be buying one, maybe you're buying 2. Do you have to go through any type of special storage care when you're using these smokers, and I guess more importantly when you're not using these smokers?
You definitely have to think about where you're going to store it. I mean, that's another thing. If you buy something that's just going to sit out in the weather, it's going to tear up. I don't care if you've got it on a trailer or whatever. I mean, I keep my big cookers on a covered trailer and do my best to keep them covered up through the winter months. And even when I know it's going to rain a lot, I'll try to cover them up. But if you don't take that extra care, you're just throwing money away. I mean, I like to keep my UDSs in the garage if possible. My backwoods party always sits in the garage instead of on the trailer. It really what dictates is how you can store it is A, the room if you have it, and B, how big is it if you can move it. I like the compact UDSs in the party because it's easy for me to move them around with. Just a hand truck. I can set them on there real easy and wheel them wherever I need to. You can even put casters on them, I've seen. But that's a important thing you got to think about.
All right, so I'm ready to go. How do I start looking to buy a new cooker? Where's the best places to get a lot of information? Obviously, we're an internet age, so I imagine that would have to be one of the places to start with, right?
Yeah, I would definitely say the forums and then the specific smoker websites from the manufacturers. And I would just, start looking around and gathering information, kind of get an idea of what you want to do. And that's kind of talking about the questions of what you're going to ask yourself, what's the smoker going to be used for. But once you get a mind of what you're looking for, go out to a contest. Most people there's a contest somewhere close by, and just look around. I've been at contests where strangers have come up and just asked me to tell them about the cooker, and most pitmasters will always stop and talk to you as long as it's not during the judging. Everybody's happy to brag on their equipment and give you their honest opinion. For the most part, I guess you run across some people, but I know I'm always out there to help someone, and I don't mind if people shoot me an email and ask me what I think about a cooker. I get it all the time. I've even had people ask about how to design one, which I can't tell you how to do that, but I know what I'd like one to do.
All right, so do people have to consider the fuel source? There's wood burners, there's charcoal driven, there's pellet. How do you go about trying to decipher which one would be best for you?
Usually that's coming down to, if you're going to use it for contests, you're going to have to go something wood or charcoal fire or pellet fire. You can't use the propane assist. But if you're cooking at home and, propane assist is something you think you might like to get a little extra sleep, I say go with it. The pellet grills, they're kind of just a nice feature to have too because you can get a little more rest on them. It's more about cooking the food than it is worrying with the fire. And pretty much that's what it amounts to. You have people that are just old school that want to burn wood and then want to burn charcoal. And then you get people that want to make it a little easier on themselves and worry about the other things that come along with cooking instead of just a fire. So that's kind of where you have to make a decision right there. Me, myself, I like a charcoal fire with wood for flavoring. I'm not a stick burner. But when I'm cooking on my CTO and it's for a catering gig or something, of course I have the gas on just because it's a little extra added assurance.
Malcolm Reed joining us here on the show talking about how to buy your first cooker. So to kind of close this section up, Malcolm, anything else that you would like to add as far as when people are going out to buy that first cooker?
I just think that, it's a great idea to kind of go in informed, gather you some information, and don't just jump on the first thing you go. Go out and really see what that cooker's going to do. Talk to somebody that's had it for a few years because I know a lot of the ones I've had, they're making a season. The cheaper models are making a season, and you'll be looking at spending and buying another one. So if you'll save a little bit of money and go in informed and make a good purchase, you'll be happy in the long run.
All right, Malcolm, obviously you've done very well in the Memphis Barbecue Network or, the old Memphis-style cooking competitions. I believe last year at some point you said you were starting to get a little bit more into the KCBS side of things. What does 2012 bring for the Killer Hogs team?
We're actually targeting primarily KCBS contests. Me and my brother kind of got hooked on it. We had a pretty good run last year and finished the season well and turned our brisket around and got our chicken where we want it, and things are just kind of coming together. So we've kind of decided this year we're going to lay off them. We're going to do a few MBMs, but we're primarily going to cook KCBS. We've got about 12 cooks targeted. I hope to make the majority of them. You never know how it goes, but that's where I'm leaning towards. Our first one will be in March, and I'd love to make that big Vegas cook that everybody's talking about coming up. It's a logistics thing for me being down here in Mississippi. I got to figure out a way to get my stuff over there.
Do you have any thoughts about getting into that Sam's Club?
Well, I hate I missed it last year, and then of course this year they didn't do the Memphis one that was right here in my backyard, so I missed the deadline. We talked about it, and we try to stay within 3 or 4 hours of the house. So it's kind of hard unless, we have some other help or someone out there, other team members that want to come on in those areas. But this year it didn't really work out. It's something that I would definitely, if it's close, I would definitely be in it. But
Malcolm Reed joining us here on the show. Again, the website, howtobbqright.com, and his competition website, killerhogs.com as well. Malcolm, always appreciate the time. Thanks for coming on tonight.
Hey, Greg, thanks for having me, man. Anytime.
You got it. There he is. Malcolm Reed, the pitmaster of Killer Hog. Check them out again. A lot of fame coming in for their efforts in Memphis Barbecue Network. And, I'm wondering where MBN will be this year. A lot of teams are kind of doing more and more one or the other, or when teams that were just strictly Memphis Barbecue Network are now starting to pile in some more KCBS, probably because they're not interested in doing MBN anymore. But I think ultimately you look at the number of competitions that KCBS has over MBN, and there's bigger money and bigger payouts out there, which ultimately could lead to more of a growing popularity of the KCBS style of competition. So that was Malcolm Reed. KCBS is on his agenda. Vegas would be on his sights if he could get out there, and Sam's Club as well. KillerHogs.com is the website for his competition cooking team, and HowToBBQRight.com is the newsletter website. Sign up for it. A lot of great stuff, and he's got one almost coming out once a week, so the content is there as well. Thanks again to Malcolm Reed for coming on. All right, we are going to do a break here before we wrap up for the second hour. For the first hour, heading into the second hour. Let me tell you about a great sponsor of the show and a guest that will be on the second hour, Dave Bosca from Butcher Barbecue. Dave is a creator and a manufacturer of one of the most highly rated pork injections and beef injections out there in the competition scene. However, maybe you don't want to inject. That's certainly under your purview if you want to. Maybe you're somebody who just really likes the rub and the sauce. Guess what, fans? You won't be disappointed. Dave makes some hugely great and flavorful rubs. And of course, his sauce is my very favorite. I just got a new 6-pack in the mail. And no, I didn't get it sent to me. If it's good, I'm going to buy it. I laid out for it. Dave Bosca sauce is a sauce that I will buy long after Dave realizes that advertising on the show was a mistake. I'll still buy his sauce. It has nothing to... I love it, and it's going to be in my house. It's going to be in my house from here on out because I love it that much. I think you would too. If you would just go to butcherbbq.com and give it a try, what do you have to lose? It's very versatile. Love the flavor, love the spice. Works well with all the other rubs. The honey rub and that sauce worked very well together. I had it on pork tenderloin last night. He's got the honey rub. He's got the premium barbecue rub. He's got that steak and brisket rub, which is absolutely fantastic on any kind of meat. Actually, I don't want to say this out loud, but I actually use it on pot roast when I'm cooking indoor on the slow cooker when everybody is out working and I got to make dinner for the night. Great flavor on that. Look, you can't go wrong. I know we talk about the rubs, we always talk about the injections and the grill. You're doing yourself and others a disservice if you're not going and trying out the barbecue sauce, the competition sauce, and you're not trying out any and or all of his rubs. Do it. Go to the site, butcherbbq.com. Not only can you get the sauce and the rub and the injections and the grill, but you can get accoutrements. You can get that huge injector syringe if you need it. Just go there. Let your fingers do the walking. Let your eyes feast all over the great stuff. And know that Dave is a trusted online retailer as well. When I ordered my sauce, it was there inside of 5 business days. It all ships priority. Anything over $55, it's $7. Anything over that, it's $9. Flat rate shipping. Doesn't get any better than that. All right, we're going to wrap up with the second hour. Coming up next, stand by. We will be right back.
Big in interviews, advice on cooking brisket and ribs, and the only host willing to share his honest opinion on all things important in the world of barbecue. It's the Barbecue Central Show.
Who would have thought this music thing was going to go this far? I never asked for this. I never asked for this fast living. The women, the whiskey, craziness. There's whiskey in my soul. Hey, Bert, let's go.
I've been drifting down that
5 minutes till. We are
are
trying to get this thing back on time since I went a little long with Ed Hamlin and those effects. Evidently wasn't my internet connection because Malcolm Reed sounded just fine. So what can I tell you? 2 internet connections. What's the old saying?
Get that big stuff out of here.
About football, if you have 2 quarterbacks, you don't have one. If you have 2 internet connections, you don't have one. Dave Bosca coming up in the second hour. Patio Daddy-O BBQ's venerable food blogger John Dawson also coming up in the second hour. Let's see. I'm sorry, Chad, I shaved. It's a new look, beards for barbecue. I got sick of doing miles and miles on end on the treadmill, and then my face was sweating, and it was all caught up in my beard face. Let me tell you, my buddy at work, Chris, who is also a beard grower, was pissed when I came in with no beard today. And his grows out more, so he had like a thicket on his face. He was pissed, no doubt about it. Beers for Barbecue is still on, though. Doesn't mean that I'm not hitting it and that we should all be doing it together. But, aside from not wanting to have the sweat and all stuck into my face, Great Plains Barbecue. I'm not going to sit there and argue with what you're saying.
What?
I like to do other things than just have a radio show, if you know what I mean. Other things. Right? Right. I think we can all agree on that. All right, email from, give me 1 second, pull this out. John Latuca. Here's the subject of this email. Your only fan in Montreal. Is there something I don't know? Nobody in Montreal likes me? Greg, just got back from the Butcher Barbecue class that was held on the weekend. Dave was absolutely awesome. Thanks for suggesting I take his class. Hands down, it was worth every penny. The guy knows beef and pork like nobody's business. And he's also a super nice guy. Have a great show this evening. Johnny! Look at that. Dave, satisfied customer, and he came from Toronto, which I believe, if I'm looking at a map correctly, is southeast France.
Get that big stuff out of here.
Let me tell you something. You sit here and say that I only have one fan in Montreal. Wait, was it Montreal? Damn it. Now I got to go back into the trash and look. All mail. Ugh. What the hell did I do with it? Did you say Montreal? Somebody help a brother out. Go to all mail. Spam. No, trash. Oh, your only fan from Montreal. Yeah, that's right. Southeast France.
Get that big stuff out of here.
Let me tell you something. My next fan better not be speaking any French up in here. It's not that I don't like the French. It's just that I don't like the French. So thank you, John, for writing in. And there you go. You wonder about what the deal is with these competition barbecues classes. Are they worth every penny? According to a dude who, I think Dave's in Oklahoma, flew from southeast France, better known as Montreal, all the way down to Oklahoma. Took the class, said it was worth every penny, and he's shucked out now. Class has a nice little price tag on it. I'm sure that plane ticket had a nice little price tag on it. But well worth every penny, according to John. So, John, appreciate you, supporting the sponsor of the show by taking his class, and you got everything that you wanted out of it, perhaps even more. All right, we're going to wrap up the first hour here, and I'll look for you in about 15 seconds after dark. Stick around. We'll be right back.
This is Maddie Rempe from Cleveland, Ohio, and you're listening to Barbecue Central.
From
from my heart and from my hand. Why don't people understand my intention?
Happy to have you aboard here for the Really Big Barbecue Show.
We cook because we have to, and we grill because we want to.
Fine, how's it going?
You have a great show. I'm a big fan. So what seems to be the problem here? This man looks like he's dead, and he's in the crackle.
Charbono! It's all about the Charbono, dude!
Succulent fish. What?
He ate 54 wieners.
But listen, Lavernius, shut your face.
I'm shaking like a dog shit peach seeds.
You could use it to fight off creeping marauders looking to take your steaks off your grills.
I just like being anywhere with Junior, Senior, and Diva.
Sounds like a whole other type of movie.
Wow. Yeah, really. Keep it hot, keep it clean, keep it lubricated.
We have top men working on it right now. Who? Top men.
All right, we are into the second hour. Hey-yo. In 13 minutes from now, you will hear from the man who came up with CAB rant that made the 2011 Year in Review show. Dave Bosca from Butcher Barbecue. 35 past this hour, which is 33 minutes from now. John Dawson from Patio Daddio BBQ, so stick around for that as well. We're going to be talking to John about his review of Kingsford competition briquettes versus stub briquettes, and he's got a awesome recipe called the Funky Cristo. Obviously, it has to be some type of a Monte Cristo. Is it called a Monte Cristo? Yeah, Monte Cristo play. So what can I tell you? Look for that. 877-448-0433 if you want to jump in tonight. Greg at thebbqcentralshow.com is the email address. All right, that's Dave's questions here. Let me address this here for the opening segment. This is like the first rant of 2012. I'm very excited. Very excited. All right, here we go. Maybe you didn't know. Breaking news. Paula Deen came out with the fact that she's got diabetes.
Get that big stuff out of here.
Look. Is this news? People are very judgmental. People are very involved in social media, and they have ways to communicate their displeasure with people now that they would not have had even 5 or 10 years ago. I could say something that you'd completely disagree with on the show. You can rifle right back at me on my Twitter page. You can do it on my Facebook page. You can leave threatening letters, menacing messages, terrorizing texts, erroneous emails. That didn't work.
Get that big stuff out of here.
Whatever the case may be, you have the ability nowadays to go right to the source and unload, if you will. So Paula Deen comes out, I believe it was it towards the end of last week, that she has type 2 diabetes. Now, the people, from what I understand, or the majority of people that were upset with this is because she knew for 3 years.
What?
That's right. She knew for 3 years prior.
What?
3 years prior to coming out with her revelation last week. So people were pissed that she continues to cook the way she cooks. People were pissed because she signed more TV deals. People were pissed because her oddly close relationship with her sons got them TV shows and book deals and other stuff that these people feel would not have been offered to Paula Deen and her kids otherwise. If she would have come out with this information, somehow she would have... What? Wayne, she has 2 types of diabetes?
What?
What?
Get that big stuff out of here.
There's only 2 types. You can't have more than one. You can't have 1 and 2. people think that she wouldn't have been offered these and that this was somehow, what can I tell you? She's benefited from not telling anybody the shit. I believe that she is so popular that if she would have came out 3 years ago and said she had diabetes, it wouldn't have made one lick of difference. And here's the deal. Oh, I don't want to say it, but there was a comic called Lavelle Crawford out there on Last Comic Standing. And he has type 2 diabetes. And he did a whole bit about when he went home. And he's like, Mom, I got diabetes. Boy, what's diabetes? I don't know what that is. Oh, it's the sugar. Oh, my baby's got the sugar. If you haven't seen it, Google it. It's awesome. Love Lavelle Crawford. All right, so here's the bottom line, folks. Paula Deen has diabetes. This should come as no shock to anybody. You ever watch her show? You ever watch her ingredients? You ever watch her the fact that she cooks with fat and lard and butter and real cheese and real eggs and cream, whole cream, butter, cheese, nothing light in her menu? How the hell is this a surprise? People that are so quick to judge Paula Deen for not coming out 3 years ago and saying she has diabetes. Who cares? It wouldn't have changed anything. She would have had diabetes.
Get that big stuff out of here.
Take responsibility. The American public as a society, not everybody, I'm broad stroking here, but please hear me out. I'm sure most of you will agree because we're more like-minded than we're not. The majority of the consuming public out here in America is so I need to place the blame and will not take accountability for one goddamn thing in their life. It's everybody else's fault all the freaking time. Guess what, people? Reach down, men, between your legs and grab. You got a pair. Those are called testicles. Take responsibility for your actions. She's getting flack for sandbagging the info for 3 years. Most don't like it because she signed these new TV shows. She made money not telling anyone that she had these diabetes. Look, it's no surprise, again, if you are a fan of Paula Deen. You know she doesn't use healthy choice ingredients. If you're going to cook like she cooks, then you are going to reap what you sow. If you continue to eat fat and lard and full oil and cheese and don't use things like fruit or light or fat-free ingredients, you too will end up with type 2 diabetes, you fat...
Get that big stuff out of here.
You fat... This is what happens. If you're not going to diet, if you're not going to eat right, and you're going to use poor ingredients all the time like Paula Deen does, this is what she does. She's the comfort food fanatic. If you eat like she does for 50 years, you're going to have freaking type 2 diabetes. Are you okay with that? Or are you good with that? It's not a shocker. You are an adult, sir or madam. Make your own decisions. Is it shady that she held this info back to gain financially? I guess. I don't even care. She's got a following like no other. She could come out and said that she's half alien, and she would have the same amount of followers that she does now. And the people that are hating keep hating. There's no reason why they're saying it. But this is not a shock to me. It shouldn't be a shock to you either. Let's stop passing the buck here as a society. Let's use this as a seminal moment in our world, in our lives, that we will now not continue to place blame on anybody but ourselves. If we're going to eat like big fat fucks, then we are going to be diseased. That's all there is to it. If you're not going to take action to preserve yourself and you're going to eat big and fat all the time, bad things are going to happen. Look at the population in the United States. We're big and fat. How do you think that happens? You eat like Paula Deen does. And you get type 2 diabetes. And you get high blood pressure. And you stroke out by the time you're 36 and you're dead. If you're good with that, guess what? I'm good with that. That's right, Diane. None of us get out of this alive. Because remember, the minute that we, as a society, were born, we start to die. That's just the way it is. If it's not going to be one thing or another. Let me ask you this question in summary before we break out of here real quick and then raise up Dave Boskin. Do you want to be on your deathbed not regretting anything that you ate, knowing that you might have eaten like Paula Deen more than you should have? Or would you rather be on your deathbed thinking about how you would have had 8 more strips of bacon, or a McPoop sandwich, or double cheeseburger from Wendy's, or triple cheeseburger from Dairy Queen, or another rack of ribs? Those are the decisions that you have to deal with. I don't want to regret anything. If I want a steak, I'm going to eat a steak, but I'm going to take preparations in order to make sure that I'm doing it in a healthy way. If you don't want to, then don't. I'm good with it, baby. Yeah. That's right, Neil. Die happy. If you can. All right, folks, let me tell you about Warminster, Pennsylvania. What's Warminster, Pennsylvania? What's there? No, it's the Barbecue Guru, of course. These guys, makers of automatic temperature control devices. And let me tell you something. Maybe you work all the time, but you happen to love barbecue all the time as well. Here's a device that is going to attach to your particular pit. It's going to mind the temperature of the pit for you all by itself. All you have to do is set the temperature you want it to stay at. Put on your brisket, your pork butt, your ribs, or whatever the case is going to be. Maybe you got a short day, 5 hours. You can put on a rack of ribs. Turn on your Barbecue Guru automatic temperature control device and let it do the work for you. You can go to work, get a little work in, come back, you have some succulently cooked ribs. Everybody's a winner. Don't let anybody sit here and tell you that using a Barbecue Guru is cheating, or that it's not real barbecue if something else is monitoring the temperature controls. I mean, of course, I always encourage people to get to know their cookers on the off chance you had to use it without a guru. But if you like to multitask, if you don't like to be around the cooker all the time, make sure you're making vent adjustments or feeding logs into the fire all the time. You want somebody who's going to make that process of cooking more efficient, and you're going to want to look at the Barbecue Guru line of products. 4 models to choose from. You have a ProCom 4 wireless unit. You have a CyberQ 2 unit as well. You have a DigiQ DX. You also have a PartyQ. The PartyQ revolutionizing the way that automatic temperature controls are made. It's a single piece. Take it wherever you want to go. It runs on AA batteries. You're typically getting 35, 45 hours in a cook before you have to replace those batteries. It's got an LED readout. You can change it in 5-degree increments. Absolutely fabulous. An all-in-one solution that doesn't require power outlets. Obviously, get to know your cooker first. Once you have it down where you could use it without it, then you can look at these Barbecue Guru units, and you're going to be absolutely astounded with how precise they are, with how versatile they are, how they can interact with other multiple cookers, how they graph stuff out on your computer because you're a geek. They got one for every budget. This is where you go. TheBBQGuru.com, TheBBQGuru.com. You can also call them toll-free, 800-288-GURU, 800-288-GURU. Talk to Bob or talk to Fred. Talk to anybody out there that is willing to help you make sure that you're getting the right model for your cooker. Barbecue Guru, longest-running sponsor of the show, 800-288-GURU, TheBBQGuru.com. We're coming back with Dave Bosca right after this. Stick around. We'll be right back.
Broadcasting live from the Barbecue Central Radio Network studios in Cleveland, Ohio. You're listening to the Barbecue Central Radio Show. Once again, here's your host, Greg Rempe.
All right, welcome back. 14 past the hour. 35 past, which is going to be about 20 minutes from now. John Dawson from Patio Daddy-O Barbecue will be joining us. All right, let's go ahead and race over the hotline. Sponsor of the show, friend of the show, Dave Bosca joining us here. Dave, how are you, buddy?
We're doing good. Got a slight head cold, so I apologize now, but all good on this end.
Well, I appreciate you. People don't know this, but Dave, you're doing me a solid because that scumbag Scott Nelson decided to back out on me in the last second.
Get that big stuff out of here.
You graciously have filled this segment, so I am ever indebted to you for doing this for me. But, Dave, let's go ahead and review a few things. Before we get into some of the stuff that I want to talk about, They've just had a very long-winded rant about Paula Deen and the fact that she's fat and that she cooks with a lot of, I guess, unhealthy ingredients, and that this should come as no surprise to anybody that you get diabetes eating this way. Do you have any opinion on that whatsoever?
I think she's a great host. I think she brings a great view of Southern cooking to the screen. I think it's her business if she's got a sickness and if she wanted to hold it for 2 years, 3 years, or 2 days or 3 days. Heck, it's none of our dadgum business what she wants to do. I respect her for what she's already accomplished. Kind of jealous I didn't do it in the first place.
Absolutely. Dave Bosca joining us here on the show. ButcherBBQ.com is the website. Dave, if we could kind of look back last year, 2011, you finished third overall KCBS Team of the Year. If you can kind of look back just as a summatory glance, how did the competition season go for you? What were some of the highs, and did you have any lows?
Yeah, we hit some lows with our brisket. It started out first of the year. We finished up second in Team of the Year 2 years in a row with brisket, and was thinking we was going to come out hard and heavy and strong. And oh man, it was probably July before we got our brisket lined out. Did a few tweakings with it and finished out real strong. Climbed back up to I think it was 10th or 11th, and ended up settling at 15th for Team of the Year in brisket. Highs, lows, as far as contest, they were all good. I mean, heck, we always have some we do better at than others. We ended up running 7 grands last year. Had about close to that many in reserve grands. But the one thing we struggled with was a little bit of our brisket. And that was really about it. But we pulled her back up and kept going.
All right, so as we look at your 2011 categories, 8th overall in chicken, notoriously, at least from what pitmasters are telling me, Dave, that this seems to be the hardest category for them to finish consistently weekend in, weekend out on. 8th overall is very good considering the amount of teams that are in there. How did you personally feel about your chicken overall the last year?
I like my chicken. It kind of sounds crazy. I started out with a chicken recipe. I just didn't know how it was going to be taken on KCBS, but apparently it was taken quite well.
Did you do something drastic than what the other people are doing?
Oh, I'm not going to say drastic. As I said this weekend in the class, I think the sauce that I use, it's a mixture of my own sauce with some stuff added to it. It's borderline, maybe not barbecue sauce, but yeah, it's. I think the secret to chicken is just cooking it well. Just learning how to cook a chicken well in your pit. Worry about your flavors and cooking it well. Don't hang up on this bite through skin. Don't hang up on bone in or bone out. I mean, hell, if you can't cook it and it ain't got good flavor, it's just not going to be good.
Dave Bosca joining us here on the show, pitmaster of Butcher Barbecue Competition Cooking Team. Ribs, you were 3rd overall, absolutely a fantastic finish out of all these teams. How did you personally feel about the ribs this year, past year?
I didn't change not one iota on my ribs from the year before. We were 1st the year before. We were 3rd this year, and this next year there ain't going to be nothing changed on them again. That's just being 3rd. That's just the way the numbers fell. Congratulations to BBQ and True Bud. They work just as hard as an expert person. Glad if I'm going to lose to those guys.
Are you a spare rib guy, Dave, or are you a baby back guy?
Spare ribs. I do trim my spare ribs down to St. Louis, but yeah, we're a spare rib person.
All right. Pork shoulder, you finished 2nd overall, so just 1 from the top spot. Obviously, you're pretty happy with that.
Yeah, QL and I had a half-running joke about that. He kept telling me, stay out of my pork category and I'll stay out of your ribs. But pork was my nemesis in 2010. I ended up, I think it was 39th in pork. And I said, I've got to change my complete flavor profile on that. And we did. And, man, it made a complete change, big time.
All right, and then, of course, self-admittedly, brisket was probably your least consistent category of 2011. You're finishing 15th overall. When you look at 8th in chicken, 3rd in ribs, 2nd in pork, all top 10s. 15th brisket out of the top 10. So how are you re-game planning or re-strategizing brisket for the upcoming season?
I'm not really going to plan on changing my brisket because, like I said, towards the end of the year, it came back. Just ran out of contests at the end of the year. I had 3 more contests I was wanting to do, and I think I could have climbed back into the top 10. I had some mechanical problems with the trailer. Coming back from the Jack Daniels, I broke the tongue off on my trailer, and I was having to do stuff out of the back of my pickup, and we did one that way, sitting under an easy up, doing it old school like we did a few years back, and I decided I wasn't going to travel the countryside cooking under an easy up. So we just laid low and said, chips will fall where they fall.
Dave Bosca joining us here on the show, pitmaster of Butcher Barbecue. You can find it at butcherbbq.com. Dave, so as you evaluate all of the categories, you're leading into a new competition season here. Are there any big changes at all that you're going to be doing to any of the flavor profiles or the categories, or are you just going to kind of stick with what you got and press forward at this point?
I'm going to stick with what we got going. The only thing I'm going to tweak just a little bit is the cooker that I do some of my chicken on. I picked up a new grill, and I haven't had a chance to really cook on it a lot, but I'm going to play with that a few times still.
What kind of a cooker is it?
I picked up a Yoder 480. It's a pellet grill. I cook on a pellet grill now. It's just that I need something. The pellet grill I got, they don't make anymore, and it's just a single wall. And with any wind at all, it'll fluctuate 40 degrees in temperature.
Oh, wow.
So we picked up a Yoder grill. I say picked up. Don up there has graciously loaned me one for me to try for a few weeks to a month to see if I like it before I buy one. And at that point, I'll make my call whether or not that will fit into what I want to do. But yeah, that's really my only change I'm looking at.
All right. So have you started to plan out what your schedule is going to look like for competitions this year in 2012?
Yeah, so far, I've got 32 contests on schedule. I'd like to do a few more. I'm actually looking at doing away with some that we did last year, going to try to fit in some others. I'm going to take a hard look at this Team of the Year thing and try to strategize, if there's any way to strategize, what's best for me. Don't know what that'll be. I'm going to talk to some folks that's been in this race longer than I have. I'm just going to kind of see what kind of game is played, and I'll go from there.
Would you like to ultimately win a Team of the Year, or is that not really huge on the horizon?
Oh, you would probably hear me yelling all the way from Oklahoma if I did something like that. But I think that'd be just cool. Yeah, be cool.
Now, also included huge success of the Sam's Club National Tour last year. That's actually been expanded with some competitions this year. Something you're going to be looking to take part in as well?
I'm going to cook the local events or event. We're going to cook the Midwest City, Oklahoma event. It's just 30 minutes down the road from me. We did that last year, and we didn't make it in. But that all being said, like I just said in my last statement, I'm going to take a hard look at this Team of the Year. Anything beyond the local events, they don't count for points. So it's going to take away from a contest that I might use for points. So I'm studying on cooking for their money for the first round and saying thank you very much and stepping back out.
Dave Bosca joining us here on the show. All right, Dave, so let's transition a little bit out of what's coming up this season. Do you have a favorite, by the way, for Team of the Year? Would you like to lay out and give us who your opinion might be on who might win this year? Aside from you, of course.
Say that again.
I said, do you have...
Say that again.
Do you have an early 2012 Team of the Year favorite, aside from yourself?
I truly think that Swine Assassins was on a roll at the end of the year that was going to be hard to beat. We were just 40-some points behind them from third to second. if Rob McGee picks up where he left off, that's hard to beat. Look right where we were at. Just everybody. I mean, the top 10 guys, any one of those, heck, the top 20 guys, any one of those guys can win it at any given time. You can't rule out any of them. Gosh, it's just going to how hard they want to play the game. If I was to pick anybody right now, if I was to take a long shot and go to Vegas with a bet, and it can't be me, I would have to go with the Swine Assassins.
Yeah, good pick, absolutely. Had the class last week. I obviously read the email from a guy that flew in from Montreal. Give us a little recap of the class, how you thought it went. Obviously, you did a lot of preparation for it. Things unfold. Did it go according to plan? Did it go better than planned? Things that you like, things you'd like to improve on for the next class?
I really liked the class, the setting. I worked with our local Chamber of Commerce. They got a building for me. We had them all show up at 1:00 in the afternoon. I normally start at noon. I told them that, but for traveling purposes, we started an hour later than normal. We started right in with pork butts, briskets, ribs, trimmed the chicken. We kind of broke and had supper. We fixed a whole hog, some baked barbecue beans, some potato salad, rolls, salad. We had the whole fixings there where no one would have to leave. Then went back that evening, put the chicken and put the butts and the briskets on the cooker, finished out the chicken for the evening, told everybody then go on home, be back at 6:30. We had breakfast. We had some homemade sticky buns, sweet cinnamon rolls. Wife made up a bunch of potato and egg casseroles. We had all the beer and sodas and tea and ice water they could drink. We ate breakfast, got started at 7 that next morning, went nonstop. There's a little downtime in there, but that's what it is at a contest. You hurry up and then you wait. So we had our downtime that Saturday morning while we was waiting on things to cook. But everything went right off. Ended just right on time. We went through our turn-ins right like a KCBS turn-in time. Did our boxes, showed them, cut up the food, let them taste it. Passed out some certificates to everybody, shook some hands, and said, thanks very much.
Are you a complete, here's exactly what I'm doing? Are you holding anything back? I got to be honest, Dave. If I was you and I was having the success you're having, I would hold some stuff back just because I want to continue to do well.
No. I think you can ask everybody in the class, and they'll understand. If someone asks me a question, heck, the only way I know how to answer it is know what I do. So I told them what we do, when we do, how we do, just for the simple fact. And I had 2 guys in the class that are from right here that we go head to head with all the time. And is it disturbing having them sitting there listening to what I'm doing? Well, yeah, it's always on the back of your mind. But you know what? The only way I know how to teach it is know what I do. And that's all it is. I am a firm believer in the cake mix scenario where, you know what I'm talking about there, don't you, Greg?
Yes, sir.
Yeah, that's I'm a firm believer in that. That's the same reason why I came out with my injections, my rubs. I used that stuff prior to coming out with it. And if I didn't want anybody else to have it, I would never have come out with it. But I had a lot of people always tell me, well, are you going to take a fall-in brisket now? No, people still got to cook it. Everybody's going to put their tweak of their own recipe into it. And that's where it's been. That's why I look at these classes.
Dave Bosca joining us here on the show, butcherbbq.com, the website, kind of recapping the class that he gave this past weekend. A weekend prior to that day was the KCBS banquet, kind of recapping their very successful year of 2011. Were you a part of the banquet out there?
Yeah, I say part of. I attended. I had no part in the banquet other than going and eating and attending the rules meeting, things like that. My wife and I flew out. We showed up a little after 1:00 on Friday, took in the hotel. I attended the rules meeting. We went over and walked through their Gaslamp district and ate some supper there and went back to the hotel. And they had a free bar, open drinks that night, and did some visiting. And went to bed and got up, and we did a tour of San Diego that next morning, and was honored and got to go through the USS Midway was in, it's a museum there in dock now, and we got to spend a few hours on that, and it's just amazing what those sailors have to do to live in. It's just something else. We spent a couple hours there and never even got halfway through it. It's just huge. But we went back. I did a little private one-on-one lesson in my hotel room with the team. Went to the giveaway of the contest. They have a free contest giveaways. We attended that, and then went to the banquet and went back to the hotel, and then got up the next morning and flew home.
Was there anybody in particular that you wanted to make sure that you saw or you were able to chat up during that, or you pretty much see everybody during the course of the year anyway?
We do see everybody through the course of the year. Always like to shake hands with everybody. Got to rub elbows with Munch and Hog and Swine Assassin and Chick Swine and Bovine and all those folks that are in the hunt year after year after year, and Mike Davis, all those guys, they were all there. So it's always cool seeing them all gathered around, not talking barbecue, not worried about talking barbecue, talking everything from football to the crazy people on the corner of the street. So it's always nice just being out and away from it.
Was there anything announced during the meeting as far as rules or anything else is going to be taking effect this year for KCBS that you thought was a good idea or a bad idea?
I did sit in on the rules meeting. I only got to get through about the last, I'd say, 50% of it. I did miss some of the topics that are still hot on the pardon me. They're still a hot topic. So nothing earth-shattering.
And were you good with the fact that the people that had been on the show looking to get on the board with those elections, were you happy that some of those people were elected, and how do you think that they're going to be steering the ship, as it were, for the next upcoming year?
Well, how they steer the ship, I don't know. But I'm happy with how the elections came out. I'm always glad to see cooks get in. They represent cooks. Reps represent cooks. But until people actually get in there and source the meat for a week, chase rubs down for the week, pack it all up, go cook, bring it home, clean it up, unpack it, and do it again, people lose sight of, other than just organizers and the reps and the office and the business. These guys are going to represent the cooks. They're going to represent KCBS. They're going to represent the contest organizers, because they know and understand without organizers getting representation along with the cooks and along with the judges, it's a big vicious circle. All three of them have got to be represented properly and equally. And without that, if cooks don't show up, organizers don't have a contest, and then judges can't come around either. So it does take all three, and I'm a firm believer that the four horsemen that were elected truly understand that it takes all three of them to make this go around.
Dave Bosca is the pitmaster of Butcher Barbecue. Again, you can find him at butcherbbq.com. Dave, again, I really appreciate you backfilling me tonight in lieu of Scott Nelson, and we'll look for you again soon.
Hey, thanks, Greg. I'm always honored to be on your show.
Appreciate it. There he is. Dave Bosca, Butcher Barbecue. Boy, did he save my ass. You guys have no idea. All right. John Dawson coming up here shortly. But first, let me tell you about the guy that is a premier retailer of fine jewelry, and he's located right here in Cleveland, Ohio, Willoughby, to be exact. So here's what we got to do. Quickly, I need to go over to his website. Stephen DeFranco.com. Now, Steve has a huge sale going on tonight. I want to make sure that I have his email address, or I'm sorry, that I have the telephone. You're going to need to contact him. I hope that says contact. Yeah, here we go. How about this, guys? From now until Valentine's Day, 50% off all Accutron watches. 50% off Accutron watches. It's freaking fascinating. Here's what you have to do. You're going to have to call in to the store. Number 440-943-2700. 440-943-2700. You're going to have to ask for Steve. Then you're going to have to use the term barbecue buddy, or you're going to have to tell him that you listen to the show and you're calling in for the deal. Go to the website right now. Go to Barbecue Central Radio Network's homepage if you want to. Click on the Stephen DeFranco banner. And then it doesn't have to be for men. It can also be for women. There's Accutron watches for women as well. Maybe you are in the doghouse. You need to get out. You can buy a $600 Accutron watch for $300. That's right. It's 50% off. You're not going to be able to beat this pricing anywhere. And you're only going to be able to take advantage until Valentine's Day. And you have to call in to 440-943-2700. And you're going to have to ask for Steve. And you're going to have to use the term barbecue buddy. As always, once you find your watch, you'll get that 50% off when you do it like I just told you. You get the free shipping. You get the free engraving, the free batteries for life, free servicing, free engraving if you want to. It's gift wrapped. You can't beat it. Out the door price, if it's a $500 watch, it's $250. Plus tax, I suppose. But maybe because it's online, you might not need the tax. I don't know. Otherwise, you're looking at about 6% on top of that. Do it now. I want to see the pictures of all your watches, whether you get them for yourself or your loved ones or whatever the case may be. 50%. StephenDeFranco.com until Valentine's Day. 943-2700. Barbecue Buddy, stand by.
Big name interviews, advice on cooking brisket and ribs, and the only host willing to share his honest opinion on all things important in the world of barbecue. It's the Barbecue Central Show.
All right, 37 past the hour. And we are rapidly approaching the end of the show, but we will not be finishing the show properly unless we get with my guy, one of the most popular food blogs related to barbecue and grilling that are out there. We race to the hotline. My friend and yours, but mostly mine, John Dawson, Patio Daddy-O BBQ. John, how are you, bud?
I am great, Greg. Thanks for having me back. I appreciate it.
Absolutely. My pleasure, John. Appreciate you kind of doing the same thing for Dave, kind of backfilling me for the absence of Scott Nelson, who has work. Give me a break with work. John, you are the creator of Patio Daddy-O BBQ.com. Maybe for the people that aren't first time hearing you, how does one get into food blogging and I guess specifically the niche of barbecue and grilling? What sparked you?
Well, as far as food blogging in general goes, I really started it as like an online cookbook. I got tired of people saying, hey, I really like that, fill in the blank dish you brought to whatever function, and can you send me the recipe, and having emails going back and forth. And then somebody would hit me up and say, hey, remember that thing you made 2 years ago or whatever, kind of tasted like this. Could you send me the recipe? And to be honest, in a lot of cases, I hadn't even written down a recipe. I kid my wife sometimes that I rarely make the same thing the same way twice. So it was really just a way for me to provide my recipes online in kind of an easy to read fashion and shoot some pictures and kind of offload that responsibility. And then above and beyond that, I'm a trained artist and I do software development. I'm a web software engineer by day. So it's just kind of a good kind of a symbiotic thing where I can be creative and do the photography thing. I can do the recipe development thing. I can write. I can do reviews, and it's all on the web. So it's something I'm very familiar with. So that's kind of how. Go ahead.
I was going to say, is it something that you were just putting up there just to do it, or did you have any aspirations of having it be as successful as it is now?
No, I didn't. I literally put it up there just kind of as an experiment. I didn't ever seek to be a blogger, so to speak, and certainly not a food blogger, and then definitely not to the level that it's gone now, where it's kind of pushing the envelope towards getting almost to the out of control phase as far as having a day job and maintaining the blog and trying to constantly be creative and kind of always on this kind of time crunch where I've got to put stuff up. I try to shoot for one post a week. I often fail, but that's my goal, and it's getting tougher and tougher to do. Right now I'm backlogged with reviews, and I have to start turning folks away, and I hate to do it, but it's just it's taken on a life of its own, and it's not something I'd ever anticipated.
John Dawson from PatioDaddyOBBQ.com joining us here on the show, so kind of dovetailing into recipes and being creative and all this stuff. On the 27th of December, just this past year, you posted something that I typically don't want to eat computer screens or paper, as it were, because I printed this off, but it's called the Funky Cristo. Now, granted, there's a very few handful of restaurants here in the Cleveland area that I would actually go and bother ordering a Monte Cristo. But this is something that is a very unique take on a very classical item. How did you get the inspiration? Kind of tell us the ingredients, the method, all the good stuff.
Well, to be honest with you, I don't know where I got the inspiration from. A lot of these things just kind of come to me. I could be in a grocery store. I could be reading a cookbook. And so I honestly don't know in this particular case what the genesis of the inspiration was. But all I know is that it was one of those things. I needed a post. And my daughter we got him an iPad for Christmas, and she was bugging me, Daddy, let's do a video. And she actually shot me with the iPad, just doing an impromptu video as I was making this sandwich in the recipe development phase after I'd had the brainstorm. And so then after I got done with it, she got to eat it. And I said, we should do a video. We should do a real video. And so I busted out my little flip HD camera, and we shot a video, and then I edited it together. So it's really just, like you said, it's a funky twist on a classic sandwich. And that's kind of my thing is, I guess, if I have a thing, is taking something that's quote unquote normal and just kind of adding a few twists to it. So it's just sourdough instead of normal bread. Instead of being deep fried, it's basically dipped and treated like French toast after you assemble the sandwich. And it just really turned out really well. And that's kind of it, really.
John Dawson joining us here on the show. One of the other things, John, that you did last year that we didn't, I think we were going to talk about this the last time you were on. We were having terrible audio qualities, which we're not having, by the way, tonight. So that's always good. We don't want to overload my single core capacitor piece of crap thing. All right, you did a review. One of the biggest charcoal manufacturer out there is Kingsford. There forever was the blue bag, and everybody always is whining and complaining about this smells bad when you start it up, and then recently they've come out with that Kingsford competition briquette. Now, all the while, really, there has been this other alternative, I suppose, known as Stubbs 100% all-natural barbecue charcoal briquette, which I find at my Lowe's. I'm not sure exactly where everybody else finds it, but I know I can get it at Lowe's every day of the week and twice on Sunday. You decided to pit them against each other. So give us the breakdown of one and the other and how they work out in this burn test.
Okay, where this came from is I had done a couple other reviews. I did the old blue bag versus the new blue bag way back when they changed the grooves and all that crazy stuff that was going on. And then when Kingsford rolled out the competition briquettes, I did a comparison of the blue bag versus the competition. And then when I went to Kingsford University and I'd gotten some interest in, well, why don't you compare it to some other brands? And then online, the Barbecue Brethren and what have you, people are saying, hey, how's it compared to Stubbs? You ever thought about doing a review? And these reviews are really long and involved and kind of difficult to do, especially when you want to keep them, kind of the way I like to think of it is consumer reports like as I can, where I want to be as straight up and as honest as I can and do a repeatable process. It's really hard to do all that. So literally that's just it. I just took the two bags. They're both off the shelf bags. I went on the same day, bought the bags, one at Lowe's, like you said, the Stubbs. And the Kingsford, I got at a local grocery store because Home Depot doesn't carry it anymore and Costco doesn't carry it off season. And I literally just did the blow-by-blow weighed the briquettes, 1 brick, 5 bricks, 10 bricks, and then did a whole 3-hour burn test just to see, where it all shakes out. And surprisingly, the temperature profile was pretty close. I mean, they were neck and neck for the most part. And then the stubs, the ash was just kind of overwhelming. I honestly couldn't believe how much ash there was. And not only that, but how well the ash actually stuck together in briquette form was just kind of odd. So there you have it.
So if you were out to buy charcoal one way or the other, you're going to be more apt to buy a Kingsford briquette, or would you buy stubs?
You know what? I'll just be really honest. I'm in partnership with Kingsford at their grilling.com site. That doesn't mean I'm like a corporate sellout, but I will say that I was raised on Kingsford. I've used Kingsford when I competed. It's never done me wrong. And so, quite honestly, I've never seen a reason to change. I tried the Rancher thing. The Rancher was good. And then, of course, their distribution problems that kind of basically fell off the map. And the stubs, I used the rest of the bag. And so, yeah, I did use it. Would I go seek it out? In my case, no, I wouldn't. Primarily because I don't have a Lowe's as nearly as close by me as I do a Home Depot or a Costco. So for me, it's a convenience thing. And also, I'll just be honest, I'm loyal to Kingsford, and I was loyal to them before I did any work with them. And they've just never done me wrong. So, and I think their track record on the competition circuit kind of speaks for itself. So that's where I'm at.
John Dawson joining us here on the show. PatioDaddyOBBQ.com is the website. John, you dabble in competition. You're obviously a backyard cook as well. What kind of cookers do you have at home and are using?
Well, as far as if you're speaking strictly of barbecue.
Just in general. We don't have to discriminate.
Right. Well, I'll just kind of break it down. For barbecue, either low and slow or more increasingly lately, hotter and faster. I have 2 UDSs, ugly drum smokers, that I built myself. I use those in competition since the 2008 season. They've been great for me. I've got a 18.5-inch WSM on the back porch that literally I haven't lit in 2.5 years. And I've got what I call Black Betty, which is an old non-firebox smoke and pit pro from Brinkman way back before they went to China and they turned all cheap. I bought it at Costco, I think, like 17 years ago or something like that, and that thing is still going strong. I did a full frame off, if you will, restore on that thing 2 years ago, or coming up on 2 years ago, and then I've got a new Element gas grill, and my first ever gas grill, if you will. Charbroil sent me one of their what do they call it? The whatever their gas smoker cooker thing is.
Oh, the Big Easy.
Yeah, the Big Easy. Yep. They sent me one of those to use, and it's quite honestly rusting out on my back porch, fixing to find a home at the landfill here shortly. To be totally honest.
What didn't?
And this Element,
was it not good?
Go ahead. Oh, it was good, but I don't think it's any secret that Charbroil doesn't make, shall we say, the best top of the line stuff in the world, and it's literally rusting apart.
Wow!
So the bolts are falling off the lid. What? I've had to replace them. It's in bad shape. So it's gonna meet its demise at the landfill shortly.
Nice. And
I got this new Element. It's just a 21.5-inch gas grill. It's made by Fuego, and it was just something, a fluke that it was my birthday, and I decided, hey, I'm going to give myself a birthday present. It was on sale for something crazy, like 55% off or something. And I like a gas grill just for the nights that I come home from work. I just want to burn a burger, or I just want to do some hot dogs for the kids. I don't want to deal with, filling up a chimney and building a fire and all that crap. And so I think a gas grill has its place. And then I've got a big old huge Mambo river grill that's it's kind of like a spin on imagine a Weber Ranch kettle without the lid.
Wow.
So it's just a big monster of a grill, and I bought that for a deal that I was doing with Bush's Beans, where I had to feed a whole crowd for a tailgate party. So it was kind of a one-time use thing that I've used a bunch since then. So that's kind of what the stable looks like.
Do you use one kind of a cooker over the other? Are you pretty across the board, depending on whatever it is that you're using, you will go to Station B or Station C?
If it's barbecue, I'm almost always going to go. If I have the time and it's the weekend and I'm not rushed, I will do the UDS thing, which I absolutely love. I mean, if I had to pick one cooker and say take the rest of them away, I would stick with the UDS. In actuality, I kind of call them an ugly Smoky Mountain, a USM, because I put a water pan in mine so I can do the full-on. I had a 22-inch Smoky Mountain before they were cool. Is kind of what I like to tell people, because I just got tired of the fat dripping in the coals, and it was just too much of an old school flavor for me. So I just kind of adapted. And so that's my go-to for barbecue. For grilling, like I said, if it's a weeknight and I'm in a hurry, I'll do the gas thing. And then other than that, Black Betty, she fills in when I'm doing things like, just a quick pork tenderloin or kind of a mid to short cook. But I've been known to do long cooks on her too. So it just depends on what I'm feeling like and how much time I have and how much hassle I want to deal with.
Any competitions lined up for the 2012 season, John, for Patio Daddy?
Oh, that's interesting. I am kind of in a Brett Favre style retirement from competition after the 2010 season. And usually when I say that, people say, well, how come you don't compete anymore? And so I'll just be honest and say it wasn't fun for me anymore. And in one of my competition barbecue 101 posts, I put in there as a bullet point, when it stops being fun, you need to find a new hobby. And so for me, kind of the death knell was when you're dreading sending in the entry form, you're dreading writing the check for the entry form, you're dreading loading up all the crap, you're dreading buying the meat, you're dreading driving to the competition, you're dreading setting up, tearing down, turning in, and then you just can't wait to get home. That's kind of like a big flashing neon sign, a big football field sized tea leaf that maybe you need to find something new to do. So the way I look at it is it quit being fun for a variety of reasons, and we can get into that if you want. But the bottom line is, I have some partnerships that I'm fortunate enough to have, and I get to basically get paid to cook, when I want, what I want, how I want, and get to make money every single time. So with no entry fees and no BS. So there you have it.
Sounds good to me. You can find him at patiodaddyobbbq.com. He is John Dawson, so be sure to check him out. He does update his blog very regularly with excellent posts. John, always appreciate the time. Thanks for coming on tonight.
Hey, thanks, buddy. Appreciate it. Take me good.
Got it. John Dawson. Again, his website, patiodaddyobbbq.com. Check it out. All right, gang, last spot of the night. We talk about pellet cookers. Dave Bosca is using a pellet cooker. I have recently gotten my hands on a pellet cooker called Grilla. Many people out there using pellet grills right now, whether it be in the backyard, whether it be on the competition and cooking scene. They are becoming more and more popular by the day. And look, how could you not want to have one of these things? They're very convenient. You can cook at a multitude of different temperatures. But the one thing that you have to get right off the start, is to make sure that you are using a quality pellet fuel. And that's why I only endorse Barbecuers Delight wood pellets. You can find them at BBQRS Delight, DELIGHT, BBQersDelight.com. Made with only the finest flavor woods, made with only the finest based woods. It's a mixture that has worked for years and years and years for Candy Weaver and her two brothers that are the owners of Barbecuers Delight. 2/3 oak for base, heat BTUs, 1/3 flavor wood to give it that succulent smoke that your meat is craving. It's got all the traditional flavors. You have apple, you have hickory, you have oak, maple, pecan. Pecan's big in competitions now. You got to get some pecan. Then you have some more outside-the-box options, like spike, sassafras, savory herb, wine-infused oak, dare I say charcoal?
What?
I said charcoal! Believe it or not, in my Grilla hopper right now, I have 1/3, let's see, it's a 20-pound hopper, so 1/3 of that is like, 6 pounds-ish? 7 pounds almost? 1/3 charcoal pellets, 1/3 apple pellets, 1/3 hickory pellets. And I used it last night when I did the pork tenderloins, and they were absolutely fabulous. Low break, they ship well, fairly priced, and widely considered to be the pellet to get, whether you have a backyard cooker, whether you have a competition cooker, or whether you have a commercial-style cooker in your backyard or in your barbecue restaurant. Candy Weaver is the one to deal with. BBQRS. BBQRSDelight.com. Hook up now. 40-pound bags, multitude, 1-pound bags, sampler packs. If you want it, Candy's got it, and she'll hook you up. BBQRSDelight.com. We'll be back to wrap up this show in 10 seconds.
Get in the smoke. Call 877-448-0433 to get on the air. Now, here's your host, Greg Rempe.
4 minutes till the top of the hour, wrapping up here. Hey, thanks for coming along, by the way, tonight. Appreciate it. Want to thank my guests tonight. You would know them as Ed Hamlin from the Grill Plate. We did have some technical difficulties over there, so I apologize for that. Also, Malcolm Reed talked about buying cookers for the first time. A lot of things to take into consideration there. And we talked with Dave Bosca from ButcherBBQ.com. And we also just finished up with John Dawson from PatioDaddyOBBQ.com. He broke down a little review of the Kingsford competition versus Stubbs Briquette. If you have a chance to go to the website, look through the archives, that's actually a great post to read because John took a lot of pictures and showed a lot of his methodology when it came to actually making sure that he was measuring out the same weights for each and putting them in pie plates and putting a certain number of vents in there so to really can be able to have a controlled environment to properly gauge how they're burning and where they started to fail, I suppose. And the competition, Kingsford briquettes win out. Probably no surprise there. I have been a fan of Stubbs for quite some time, but unlike John, who has a Home Depot closer and a Costco's closer to Lowe's, I'm probably equal distance. So to me, if I'm closer to the Home Depot, it's going to be charcoal briquettes from Kingsford that night on the competition style. If I happen to be in Willoughby and I'm closer to the Lowe's, then I'm probably going to get the Stubbs briquettes. I will agree that they ash more than the competition briquettes do for Kingsford. That's just nature of the beast. You're never going to get a true hardwood lump briquette that isn't still going to ash in some degree or fashion like a regular charcoal briquette. That's the biggest bitch that you're always going to get. Too much ash. Too much ash. What can I tell you? Also, that funky Cristo. I'm going to keep this print out. Let me see if I can. This is the funky Cristo that John made. Look at that thing. Oh, so good. I'm going to try that out. Guaranteed. Guaranteed. All right, here we go. Let's wrap it up. First of all, a huge show already packed for next week. Scott Nelson will be in, whether he likes it or not. Robin Lindars is in next week as well. Also, Derek Rich's BBQ.about.com makes his triumphant return, first of the year. So, jam-packed show. Again, thanks to Ed Hamlin, GrillInnovations.com. Send him your challenges. He wants to cook it, and he'll take pictures of it and show you. Thanks to Malcolm Reed, Killer Hogs, HowToBBQRight.com, how to purchase your first cooker. Dave Bosca, Butcher BBQ, going over his 2011 season, what he has looking forward to this coming year, and his cooking class that took place this past weekend. Also broke down a little bit of the KCBS banquet from a couple weeks ago. And John Dawson, PatioDaddyOBBQ.com, Funky Cristo, talking about some of his cookers and that review on the Kingsford competition briquettes versus the Stubb briquettes. Let me help to remind you to control the rusty grill grate population. If you have raw cast iron and you use it, every time it starts to cool down after you've brushed it off, Hit it with a little Pam, maybe a little Crisco, let it burn back in, give you years of rust-free maintenance each and every time. Protect them. They serve you well. You might as well give them a little love and affection. Also, September 11th, 2001, I will never forget. Until next Tuesday at 9 p.m. Eastern Standard Time, this is your program host and proud U.S. American, Greg Rempe. Good night now.